45-0, clean, old-fashioned ass whooping. Thank Gilmer on the field for us at UGAsports.com. This is the Postgame Overreaction Show, the POS. I'm joined by Trent Smallwood. We'll have Ben Bachman on in just a minute as well. Blaine, you're on the field. We want to get your thoughts, initial thoughts like we always do every week. Initial thoughts, 45-0 over Tech. My God.
Yeah, as far as I could tell, the main thing was everybody knew that it was going to be an ugly score. They just didn't know, what the point differential would actually be. But I think Georgia came out relatively healthy. Maybe Kearis Jackson a little banged up, but that was the first observation. Second, I thought Stetson Bennett, Brock Bowers, of course, looked fluid in the passing game. Running backs are running hard, so I think a good little tune-up. And George Pickens getting back on the field. I mean, and doing his patented, kind of sideways hurdle over a guy on the sideline. So it's a lot of interesting stuff. I'm sure y'all are going to be breaking down throughout the remainder of the show.
Yeah, Blaine, if you weren't there at the game or if you were, watching Michigan, Ohio State and just looked at the stats only, you would think Stetson was the only quarterback that played because neither one of JT Daniels or Carson Beck actually threw the ball. You were asking me before, Blaine, 14 of 20, 255 and 4 touchdowns for Stetson. How do you look today?
I mean, I thought he threw it in rhythm is the main thing on a lot of stuff. And, Kirby has taught in the last week or so about him holding the ball maybe too long in certain areas. He took a sack early, at least one I know but not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes Stetson's got to realize that's not necessarily the worst thing is to take a sack, live for the next down, because sometimes he gets a little bit out of the box, and that can be good sometimes and sometimes not. But he looked in control, a lot of rhythm in the offense, and I thought other than kind of stopping themselves early on, they really kind of just hammered it through the rest of the day.
Blaine, we're going to let you get out of there. There shouldn't be too much traffic. Well, maybe there is. You're heading back towards dog country out of Atlanta with the rest of them. The dog fans.
It was all red in here. That was an observation. It was all red. I mean, there was so much. I'm going to put out the Sights and Sounds video tomorrow, and you're going to see a ton of red.
Yeah. What would you say percentage-wise in the stadium?
70% Georgia. I mean,
damn.
At least it was ridiculous. The Tech fans, they were trying to make some money off this one and sell any tickets they could. So.
Well, Blaine, next week, me and you are in Atlanta for the SEC championship game, and we'll have a special broadcast then. But until then, be safe, man. Safe travels home.
All right. See you, Paul. See you, Trent.
See you, brother.
See you guys.
Bring on Ben Choppy Bachman with us. Trent, before we get to Ben, I like that beanie, Ben. Is it a little cold up there in Maryland today? You're muted. You muted yourself. You had a witty comeback and you muted yourself.
No, I said it's basically snowing weather up here, which I know you haven't really experienced down there. It's cold as shit. That's just one way to put
it. Trent, we'll start with you. 45-0 over Tech. Georgia ends the regular season 12-0 for the first time, I want to say, since 1979. Pretty good, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I really thought today would be an opportunity to work on some things on offense. And I thought they did just that. I thought this is the first time really that I felt like Stetson, Stetson's been playing well. He's been especially with his legs, but today was the first time I really saw him in rhythm. He was delivering passes on time. He's 14 of 20 with 2 drops. I thought he played outstanding. I think it's 3 or 4 incompletions came towards the end of him being out there. But, I thought he played outstanding. I thought, Brock is just insane.
Speaking of Brock, Brett Weimer asked, how does Brock get left off the Mackey list?
I have no clue, but I would love to see the mile an hour he hit when he hit about midfield because there was about 3 Tech guys that had an angle on him, and he just blew right past them. So the running game got going. Really and truly, this is the 3rd week in a row that Broderick Jones has started at left tackle, and I thought he's played excellent at left tackle. And of course, the defense was there. So overall, good game.
Yeah, I think that's one thing, Ben, we're going to have to look at next week. Obviously, with Jamari Sawyer coming back, where do you put him? I think that's That's the question, because Broderick has played so good at left tackle. Do you take Broderick out and just keep everybody else the same? Jamari is really a natural guard if you look at it. But, Erickson has stepped up and played better these past couple games. He has shown some deficiencies, but he's also a leader on that offensive line. And he's also your backup center. So do you take him out? I mean, it's going to be a tough conversation Kirby Smart's going to have with somebody. Ben, if you're Kirby Smart in that prediction or in that predicament for that offensive line, what are you rolling into Bama with next week?
I know a lot of fans want it to be Jones and then Sawyer at guard, but at the same time, Sawyer hasn't started at guard yet. And you want his first start coming off an injury versus Alabama. That's going to be interesting.
So do you play him?
I think you might have to. It's tricky. I thank God I don't make the decision, because I mean, I feel like you would have to put him at left tackle given his experience, and he's going to be, I don't know about first round pick, but a fairly high draft pick. He's experienced. You want the Kirby values experience, especially in those big games. He's played in those big games.
Broderick's been really good. Trent, come on, chime in on me. Help me out here.
It's tough though.
You got to know who these tacklers are going to be going up against.
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson might be the best pass rusher Georgia's seen this season. Oh, he is going to be the best pass rusher Georgia's seen this season. It's a tough task to ask a freshman to go up against that. I think if Sawyer is there, I think he plugs back in at left tackle, and you can rotate him around throughout the game, depending on if you're not getting any push in the middle, you can rotate Jamari inside if you need to, but I think to start the game, you're going to need Jamari at left tackle just from the experience standpoint going up against Anderson.
Yeah, Paul, I wanted to show you a stat was from Brent Rollins, his PFF over there, said 2 of the top 3 tackles in the country in pressure rate allowed. The lowest are Sawyer and McClendon. Sawyer's number 1 and lowest, 0.6% of his pass block snaps he allows pressure, and McClendon's 1.5%. So that's really important. That I think that pass rush, Will Anderson, so you're going to face, you got to go with the reliable veteran like Sawyer. I feel like if he's healthy enough, if he's facing Will Anderson, you might just have to based off the experience, and I understand that.
And so Jamari hasn't given up a sack. He's a senior. He hasn't given up a sack in his career, and he's been at left tackle how long? Last 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's seen some good pass rushers. He knows what to expect. So a guy with almost 700 drop back pass blocking reps and hasn't given up a sack yet is somebody you're going to need at left tackle against Anderson.
Amari said, who is watching Michigan versus Ohio State? That is one that we are keeping a close eye on. Looks like Ohio State scored. Trent, you probably have it on your TV, don't you?
Yeah, you can see it.
Is that okay? Cool. That's what's going on right there. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm watching the game through Trent.
35-27 right now. Michigan's up.
They're driving too.
3 minutes and 51 seconds left.
Ohio State can't stop the run, so Michigan's going to win as long as they don't fumble.
Which brings up, last week, guys, I wasn't included in this, but everybody else was, Georgia doesn't want to face Ohio State. Georgia doesn't want to face Ohio State. Might not have to. I think this is setting up to be perfect scenario for Georgia. If you can beat Bama next weekend in the SEC championship, you knock the two most explosive offenses out of the college football playoffs, and then you have Michigan, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State maybe. Notre Dame.
So you're sitting there
That's
in perfect in a perfect situation.
Paul, I think if they win next week, especially if Michigan holds, I think you're the runaway favorite to win this thing. I don't know if anybody would be. Michigan's about to score a touchdown here. They're inside the 5.
I think if you looked at the lines, I think so you see the line for next week. Georgia's favored by close to 5. I think Georgia would be favored 6 or 7, maybe closer to 5. But Ohio State, I think they'd be favored by almost 2 touchdowns. Michigan.
Really?
Michigan tries to do what Georgia does, but they're just not as talented or better coached. Let's be real here. Michigan, you look this year, they lost to Michigan State, and they got ran all over. And then and today I thought Henderson was torching them. And then Nebraska should have won that game. They blew it at the end. Rutgers fumbled. It was a 1-possession game with Rutgers, who just got crushed by Maryland today. And that was a 1-possession game that they won. So Michigan, they beat Ohio State. The thing about Ohio State is they don't have a good defense. They have an explosive offense. And that's why I said Georgia is a much worse matchup for Michigan than Ohio State is. Ohio State's much easier because they're at home, they're in those elements, and Ohio State doesn't have a defense. So Michigan can run, and if they can get to the quarterback, they can win the game like they're just about to.
Yeah,
about
Michigan
to do
just scored again. Yeah, Michigan just scored it again.
Yeah,
Here we
and,
go.
and the thing you got to take into account is it is snowing and 20 degrees. You're not going to see that in the playoffs. And you put them on a neutral field with Georgia's speed, Michigan's going to struggle to move the ball on offense because they're not going to be able to line up and knock you off the ball like they do. Now, they are talented on defense. They do have a couple talented edge rushers. But Georgia should be able to put up enough points. I just don't think Michigan would be able to manufacture enough points to beat Georgia.
We're going to bring old Dane Young in here, a little 4-box action. Dane in the truck with the car seat behind him, hanging out.
Dad life, man. You know how it
Dad
goes.
life. Hashtag.
No, I do have to call Dane out for something not football related. This Thanksgiving take I heard that you had about Thanksgiving food is trash.
I didn't say all Thanksgiving food's trash. I said if turkey was so good, we'd have it more often. I think
that's a terrible take.
That's a great take.
Terrible take.
I mean, he is kind of right with that. Like, if it was good, we would have it more often. And it's a good turkey is decent, but like Dane said, if it was one of those things, we would have it more often. We wouldn't be eating chicken every day. We'd eat
the
turkey.
fact that you eat dressing one time a year. That's enough.
Okay, dressing is kind of terrible in my opinion.
Dude, dressing's good. Dressing's really good.
I don't know. I like cranberries. I just enjoy
one time a year.
Are elite.
Maybe later on the show we can get like a power ranking of Thanksgiving food. By the way, if you're watching, happy Thanksgiving. I didn't even say that. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys. If you're watching, let us know where you're watching from. Put it in the comments section. Dane Young's watching from his car. Dane, 45-0. Georgia walks away 12-0 for the first time in over 40 years. And they beat Georgia Tech on their home turf. Didn't allow a single point. What was Coach Don and the gang saying about this one?
I mean, we were just cracking jokes in the second half because, I mean, that was an ass whooping. So,
yeah.
But, I mean, I think that's what was expected. These rosters are nowhere near in terms of talent level. It's what Georgia should have done. It's what Georgia's done all year long. This next phase of what Georgia has coming up is different than what we've seen before, right? But to this point, Georgia's passed every test with flying colors. And I don't think that there's too much negative to say, though this is the post-game overreaction show. So I'm sure someone will have something.
It is. Can anybody guess the amount of penalties for Georgia today?
0.
0 for Georgia. I don't know when the last time they did that. That stat just caught my eye. Total yards for Georgia Tech, 171, Dane, 463 for Georgia. I mean,
it was funny, though, because Coach Donnan, you can see that he coached Georgia and against Georgia Tech and kind of had some referee experiences that, not always the best, because even though there were no penalties a couple times, he's like, these ACC refs spotting the ball, it's too far back, that's not a first down. And I think even with the McConkey review, he's like, what are you even looking at? It's a touchdown. Yeah, it was upheld.
What are you looking forward to most next week, Dane? I feel like this is kind of a look ahead show almost. This postgame, there's not much to overreact to. I mean, we could overreact to the fact that JT Daniels got in the game and Carson Beck got in the game and neither one of them, threw a pass. Maybe that's bad. Maybe if Stetson goes down, that could be something they didn't get to throw a pass. But, I mean, you're really grasping at straws here. What are you going to say, Trent?
The last pass Georgia threw was at the 9:55 marker in the third quarter. It's touchdown pass from Stetson to Brock in the end zone was the last pass Georgia threw all day.
Wow.
The two obviously Brock's touchdown run was insane.
Unbelievable.
Just unbelievable. Like galloping down the field. But I thought Stetson off of his back foot, just throwing a strike to Jermaine Burton, I believe it was. And that was like, I was like, okay, that's different. Like, I don't see that a whole lot at Georgia. And that one, if he can do that over the next 3 games, then Georgia's going somewhere.
So, I mean, obviously, this whole JT versus Stetson thing is officially done, right? There is no.
This is Stetson's card. Now, I mean, if Stetson goes and screws up and has a really bad game, I think JT's there. But
I do like seeing JT. He's the first one to greet Stetson when he comes off the field after he does touchdown pass. I mean, it looks like JT is fully aware of the situation and has grasped it. I mean, he knows where he's at, that he's second in the pecking order, and he's he's dealing with it. I mean, and
I saw there was Kirby got mad at Stetson on the last play in the first half when he threw it over like 3 Georgia Tech defenders. I think he was throwing it to A.D. Mitchell. I could be mistaken. And Kirby was not pleased with that. One thing I did see was JT when Kirby was yelling for Stetson to come over there and talk to him, he was pretty pissed off. JT waited to hear what Kirby was saying to Stetson. I thought that was kind of cool. It was almost like not taking him under his wing, but he wants to make sure he's there too, just in case of the learning moment, right? So JT is still engaged to what Trent's saying.
Well, I wanted to ask Dane, but it looks like it's locked up at this point. Michigan just beat Ohio State by like 2 touchdowns, so they're out. So if Georgia wins next week, you would think it's basically a runaway. And if Stetson, that's why if I'm Georgia, you take out Bama, you might face Michigan, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Like those are the teams, if you beat Bama next week, that you're going to have to play in the playoffs because Georgia's already locked in the playoff, win or lose. Next week is basically like a national championship game. As long as they stay healthy in the playoffs, they can win.
I think on paper you're right, but like I do think once you get to the point that Georgia's at, it takes some luck too. Like very rarely do teams just kind of mow through postseason like this. And yes, I think the best team that Georgia will play will be Alabama. So I agree with you on that. But just thinking that like Georgia would not have a competitive game against a team like Michigan, I don't know. I didn't think that Michigan and Ohio State would be that close. And man, Michigan just ran them off the field. It looked like. I haven't seen the intricacies of it because we were on the air, but like this is still college football and there's good athletes all around, but you got to love the position that Georgia's in overall.
Dane, before we let you go ahead, Trent.
I think if you're looking for a team, and we've talked about it, teams that can beat Georgia are going to have to push the ball down the field in the passing game. And really the only two, and we talked about the only 2 teams that can really challenge Georgia in that area are Ohio State and Alabama. You have a chance next week to eliminate both of them from the playoffs. So, I mean, next week is a huge game just for that simple fact. You don't want to see Alabama twice over the next 3 games. So you have a chance to eliminate them.
Can you imagine how Ole Miss fans feel right now thinking, how did we lose to Auburn? Because Ole Miss would be sitting there with 1 loss to Alabama and like be essentially in the playoff without having to play in the SEC championship.
Without having to play in the play-in game. Dane, before we let you go and run home to those kiddos, it looks like the opening line right now at most sportsbook -4 UGA against Bama. I know it's too early. I got my peoples. But no, -4. What's your initial? I will not hold you to this if your score prediction is different when it comes out next Friday. -4 UGA. Are you taking Georgia or are you giving the points to Bama?
I've got no reason not to pick Georgia to win. And I mean, 4 is just saying by like more than a field goal, right? I'd probably take Georgia with the over on that, just with I look at this like Alabama. This is not the Alabama of the last few years. Alabama had a competitive game with LSU, a decimated roster. We'll see what they do with Auburn right now. It's the Iron Bowl. Crazy things can happen. But like the LSU game really, I looked at that and I was like, okay, Georgia is going to be in the driver's seat in this particular game too. Alabama's great. They have a lot of good players and they can, but like I look at their offense and I'm like, where are the weapons? Because Brian Robinson's not as good as Najee Harris. Mechie is not, Waddle or Smith from last year. It's all Jameson, right? He's their dude. And so if Georgia can slow him down, I like Georgia to keep Alabama to not many points.
There it is, folks. Dane Young, make sure watch along show next week. Who's doing the watch along with you next week?
I think it's our main crew, but I don't know that for sure. Ask Roddy when he comes on.
Yeah, Roddy's here. We'll ask him when he comes on. But guys, make sure to watch the watch along show next week. We know Dane Young and Jim Don will be there. Maybe Roddy will be there too. And I'm sure it will be a fun time with that watch along show. Finally, a competitive game that you'll get to, put some stats up and things like that, Dane. Maybe you guys won't have to sing Elvis halfway through the whole show. So.
We had a good discussion today of like the funniest names that you've ever met. So I grew up with a kid named Skip Skipper. And someone in the chat said that in their class when they were a kid, there was a girl named Kitty Peed. And that was a running joke through a whole show.
Well, Kitty Pete, hope she's all right today, and maybe she's a dog fan. So, all right, Dane, we'll holler at you. See you, brother. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Radi Nabulsi about to join us.
What's the old man's going to be here? His
Whoa, he can
ass.
hear you.
He
can hear you.
Oh, I know he can hear me.
There he is.
There's old ass. There
and
he
you're
is.
fired. And you're fired.
You got to be hired first to be fired, Paul.
Yeah, true. We just watched.
I haven't hit that direct deposit button yet, bitch. We can stop.
We just watched Michigan beat Ohio State. That team everybody thought Georgia was going to lose to, Roddy, when they played.
Oh damn, my brother's going to be on me today. Michigan fan. Oh boy.
And now Michigan wins. Amari Carmichael's already asking, where can I get my Indianapolis tickets, man? He's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Got to win next week. And you got
Roddy says slow down. Roddy says slow down. And why do you say slow down, Roddy? It was a 45-0 win today.
I mean, okay, Georgia's defense, another shutout. And granted, Tech's a terrible team, but, you saw the 40-yard reception to the tight end with Quay Walker in coverage. It's any team can score. You could fumble the ball and have a turnover, let them get a cheap field goal. It's tough to get a shutout. To keep somebody out of the end zone or from kicking a field goal is damn near impossible. And Georgia's done it, 4 times this year?
Yeah.
That defense is filthy. And that's without Adam Anderson. That's without Chris Smith back there. You got some guys banged up, and it's really, really impressive what they're doing. But the one team that you got to be worried about, and we talked about this every week, is, UAB is going to be able to move the ball a little bit. Tennessee is going to be able to move the ball a little bit. Bo Nix is going to give you some troubles. Every team, Florida with their, AR-15 is going to move the ball, and they did first couple series there. But this is a defense that's one of the best ever. I mean, you really start to put them midway through the season. People talking about being the best ever. I'm sure. Even Ben, as young as he is, kind of rolled his eyes going, there have been some pretty good defenses out there, but, you can't talk best ever. But now you've been through 12 games, and you look at the points allowed against modern offenses. Granted, you played some bad teams, but again, just about anybody can score. The fact that this defense has scored so many points on its own, the number of guys you're going to have that are playing at the next level, this is a lights-out defense, but – we talk about each week which offense is going to be able to challenge them. The one that just lost was the one that I was worried about the most. I'm not as worried about, an Oklahoma or an Alabama, perennial powerhouses, and offensively. But I was thinking what Ryan Day had going on at Ohio State. I'm like, you had 3 wide receivers there that can torch your secondary.
I mean, Alabama's best wide receiver was their 4th wide receiver. That's why he transferred, Jameson Williams.
That's my point. So I'm like, this is – you got to be nervous about that. Not, I shouldn't say nervous, but that's when you've known going into every game you had a better defense than the other guy's offense. Every game. There's never a question. With Ohio State, now you found somebody that could maybe go toe-to-toe with you. But
now they're out.
Yeah, and then who is good at what you were bad at.
Right.
Georgia's, if there's a weakness on defense, it's in the back part of the secondary, star safeties, or linebackers in coverage. Here's a team that will take advantage of that. Now you don't got to worry about them. I tell you guys, it's going to be Georgia versus Notre Dame. I picked it 3 weeks ago when no one thought they had any chance, and it's just Notre Dame every week moves up. They lose early on, everyone forgets about them, but at the end, they always get put in.
They're one of the most hated teams in the country because they're not in a conference. Every friend I talk to says they should be abolished for not being in a conference. I've never seen a team more hated than Notre Dame.
Well, people want conformity, man.
Coming into the game, Georgia's giving up 7.5. With that shutout, they ended up giving up 6.9.
Nice.
So
nice.
Under 7 points a game. Jesus. I mean, again, I put this in my column, and I know you guys don't ever read what I write, which is fine. Screw all of you. But
I read it in the Google Doc.
I mean, the vets thought the 3-2-1 report was good this week. So
yeah, because I predicted something they wanted to have happen. That's the only thing they care about. But the point was, I really wanted, and I've only tweeted once since the game was over, and I said, "Look, Georgia has gone 12-0.
Yes,
they haven't been 12-0 since 1980. I was 8 years old. You guys weren't even born,
It wasn't even a thought.
Yeah, this is mind-boggling that no one knows what 12-0 is. And you saw. I remember that Auburn undefeated year. Then they didn't actually even play for the title that year. And I remember saying, look, if Auburn wants to run up a national championship thing on the flagpole, because they weren't in like the top 5 or top 10, but they went undefeated, but they didn't get to play when it was 1 versus 2 for the title. And I'm like, man, that's not fair. This is a team that went undefeated. They should get a shot at the national title. They didn't. But I'm like, look, if you guys want to claim it as a national title, fine, go ahead. Because I know how hard it is to go 12-0 in the SEC. And Georgia did that this year. And I'm like, that's lights out. So no matter what happens, and when I say it this way, people think that I'm predicting doom and gloom. I'm saying, look, no matter what happens, worst case scenario, you lose next week and lose in the first round of the playoffs. We got weeks to talk about that, but just enjoy the fact that for the first time in your lifetime, you've gone undefeated in the regular season. Think about how hard that is. Last year, you didn't even play for the SEC title.
Yeah.
This year, you're 12-0. 12-0. It's mind-boggling. Excuse my language. It's just you can't get around that. You can't lose that. What a big deal that is. It's monumental.
And kind of getting back to this game before we really get into, Unruly Simeon says, Oklahoma State might be team to worry about. Before we get into all of those scenarios, they could be, Ben. They could be. Let's see what happens.
Georgia, I don't think that.
I think, like he said, low key.
Yeah, you didn't say they're going to kick your butt.
But
what's weird? The Big 12 isn't a good offensive conference this year,
but they have a really good defense. So
I want to get back to. I'm just talking about in general. The Big 12 is usually just offense. Of course. It's not that this year, which is weird.
What I want to get back to, though, 45-0 against Georgia Tech. How does Georgia Tech, I don't know, recover from this, Trent? If there's 3-9, right?
Yeah,
3-9. Yeah, it lost their last 6 games. It was all hype with Jeff Collins. Shout out to Rockdale County, but.
Woo-hoo.
They're 3-9. They lost their last 6 games. Where does Georgia Tech go from here? And we asked this last week. We were like, is this even a rivalry? And Roddy brought up a good point. It's a rivalry if you lose to Tech, but you're supposed to win against Tech, and I don't see this as a rivalry now. This game was over in 3 hours. Like, they got in, took care of business, got out. Like you said, Trent, didn't throw a pass after 10 minutes in the third quarter. They got in, got out 45-0, and Georgia Tech looked completely lost. Where did they go?
I think the most concerning part for me today was watching them milk the clock when they were down 24-0 and just kept running.
That was so stupid.
It's there's 2 minutes to go or somewhere on there, and at the end of the second quarter, you're down 24-0. You got a chance to make it 24-7 or 24-3 or a 3-possession game. And on 3rd and 6 around midfield, you run the ball and then you milk the clock all the way down and then you punt it. That is concerning to me because you're just
the whole punt thing, man. Like, I was like, why are you throwing that pass there on 3rd and 15 if you're just going to punt it?
You're legitimately saying we can't beat them. Let's get this over as fast as we can. Let's make this as respectable as we can. And that's just is not a good. It doesn't look good.
Ben, how do you fix Georgia Tech?
Do they even have any fans? Like, honestly, at this point, do they even have any fans? I
think they have fans. Yeah,
I don't even think they really have fans. I don't know how you build it. One of the recruiting pitches was the Waffle House. Like, that knows that your program is terrible if you're selling the damn Waffle House. Collins? I saw on ESPN that one year on Sunday he's talking about the Waffle House, bringing kids there. How is that a sales pitch? Like, I just think they're in a weak conference. That they don't have the talent. They don't have the coaching. They just need to start all over again, which they keep doing. I don't know how you fix it. It's going to take a long time.
Majority of the Tech fans that I know that are around here are Alabama fans now. So
majority of the Tech fans I know just don't watch football anymore. It's kind of sad. My brother-in-law's a Tech fan. I was like, hey man, big game today. You watching the game? He's like, no, man, I'm not.
Paul, you know who I would hire? I know this sounds crazy. I'd hire the Kansas coach because the games they've won this year, and Kansas is terrible. They look like they have fight in them. Like to beat Texas, I don't care, and to blow out TCU.
But didn't they just give Collins an extension? I'm almost positive
they said he was going to be back for next year. That's it.
Oh, okay. So they said he's just going to be back for next year. Okay.
But I think the thing, they don't put money into their program like other teams. Until there's a full commitment from the ground up, I think Georgia Tech's going to struggle. I think Paul Johnson put them behind with recruiting, just simple fact that the offense that he ran. But at this point,
they won games.
Yeah, but
they won games with that offense.
At this point now, you should be pulling guys in. You've pulled some guys out of the transfer portal. You got Kenyatta Watson back, who's played, I think it was 12 snaps all year. I don't know. You got Miles Sims is another guy. Your quarterback. Your starting quarterback. This is like going to play 2 quarters in JV, and so you can play 4 quarters in varsity in high school. You don't want to play your starting quarterback more than 4 games because you want to redshirt him. It's win now, and that's what Kirby is. It's win now, and it's not win now in Atlanta. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. You know what the danger is, and you talk about building it from the ground up. What is your base?
I don't know if you have one. Like
I'm just saying, it's the students.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of excitement amongst the students. That is a high-end academic institution, and we kind of give them grief about that, but it really is. It's tough to get in there.
Oh,
and they what they appeal to more is not exactly synonymous with a rabid football fan. So you've got a lot of international students who did not grow up watching football. You got some rabid fans there, but just not as many from a sheer number standpoint. Think about the University of Florida. 53,000 students. Georgia, for comparisons, like 33,000 students, So look at these Texas schools with, 50, 60,000 students. You've got a rabid fan base that, by the time they've gone through their 4 years, I don't say they're indoctrinated, but they understand the culture. They've grown up in it, and then they pass that on to their kids, and they watch all the Texas games. They watch all the Baylor games. They watch all the Florida games. Tech's student section was, even during the good time, or not just last 10 years, even when Paul Johnson's winning, not exactly flowing in there. In other words, even when Tech was better, there's a lot of tickets to be had from that fan base. Whereas you can't get a Georgia fan to give up their tickets. You can't get an Alabama fan to give up their tickets, or an Auburn fan. Even if they're having a rough season, they're still going to go watch the game. And I think they're just getting further and further disconnected from the student, from that base. So that's not a base that's going to grow up, get out into the world and turn around and give you money to your program, to your football program.
So it's like a, I don't
slow
know.
Death spiral.
We've got a caller here. Let's get him on. J Martin 24. What's going on? How's it going? Welcome to the POS. Okay, thanks, man.
Oh, geez, man.
We're gonna go ahead and block him from the chat too. He's talking in the chat, so we'll block him there. But no, anyways, I don't know how you. And they talked about this on the broadcast right there at the end. They said you have to keep Jeff Sims and Jahmyr Gibbs from transferring.
Wow,
I mean, you get those 2 guys to transfer. What's going to happen? What are you going to do at Tech? I don't know, man. It's just bringing back Jeff Collins for another year seems.
But then here's the question: if you getting rid of him, does that really help you?
I don't think so. Yeah, I was just about to say that. I don't think that's the answer either.
There's not an easy answer. Plus, you got the payouts there. It's the same with. I look at what they did at Florida, firing Dan Mullen. Okay, if there's coaches they want to get, but at the same time, you fired McElwain. He was kind of successful down there. You got rid of Muschamp. He was kind of successful down there. You get rid of this guy who just played last year, played for the SEC title. Get rid of him. If I'm a top coach, I'm thinking, screw that. If I go down there, there's a good recruiting base, and my 2 rivals are, down. Florida State and Miami aren't exactly great, so I should be able to recruit down there. But again, you got to start all over. And that even getting to the SEC title game, it might get you an extension in the summer that they're going to have to pay out on. like Mullen, but the fan base is going to lose its mind if you don't win enough. It's like, and I got to fight Kirby every year in the East. And if I get to the SEC title game, I got to get through Nick Saban. I'm going to go coach in the ACC, I'm going to go coach in the Pac-12. I'm going to go coach in the Big Ten somewhere else where it's only one or two teams. I mean, you got two behemoths in the SEC and a fan base that is irrational in their expectations. They had two coaches win titles down there in Spurrier and Meyer, and now they expect everybody else to win them or get the hell out. And I'm like, if I'm a good coach, I'm like, nah, man, I'm good.
Well, it seems like Napier's the coach. That just seems like that's going to end up happening. So
that's a step up for him. That's fine. I get it.
Yeah, I get that.
They're like, we're going to go get Dabo
and Crystal Ball.
Yeah,
that's the thing that's pathetic to me. Why people think he should leave Oregon? He can win at Oregon, and he has the money. Yeah. I've always said if Miami invests and has the money, people would. If I was a guy, I would go after that job if they have the money, but they don't. If they had the money, because you could win in the ACC and look at the recruiting down there, and you could win down there if you had money invested in the program, which they don't. I don't know why. They just don't have the boosters, I guess. But Florida, I think the job is a lot harder than some people think.
I also think that they're in the past you've said you don't want to coach in the SEC West. You got to go up against Saban every year. That's kind of starting to lurk down on Kirby now. Now, do you want to have to go up against Kirby not only on the field but on the recruiting trail every single year? I mean, it's almost like a dead end job for most of these people.
No, I was just saying that new coach is going there thinking, hey, I'm in Florida. I'm in a great recruiting base. Well, Kirby's going to come down there, steal your best guys.
And if Kirby wins a national championship, that's a thing that Clemson, they win some recruitments, and Trent's followed it a long time. Sometimes you see the recruitments, it's Georgia, Ohio State, Bama, Clemson. They just want to go to a place where they can win. And if you have proven that you can win a title, they're not even going to consider you. You're not going to be in those recruitments because Georgia is.
I think the title thing is a bit overrated because the players, they want to win a title, but what they want more importantly is to make it to the NFL. So they're looking at your NFL development. How many guys are you putting in the NFL? And when that is on a downward spiral, you can't point to guys that you put in the NFL under the previous coaching administration. That's when Kirby started getting.
Some schools do that in their Twitter pictures.
They do. I mean, everyone's
Radi's favorite school.
But if I'm Kirby, I'm like, I'm not pointing to the guys that everyone does. But he said, look, I got 2 first-round offensive tackles in there. I got a linebacker in there, who played for me. I've got a cornerback who went in the first round, and then I had another one who went right behind him in the second round. That's what works for Alabama because Nick Saban says, all those guys that are playing, they all came through me. These weren't McElwain's guys or Muschamp's guys or Urban Meyer's guys. These are my guys, and it works. They look at NFL first, and then you're right. And they're like, well, I don't want to go to a place where we're going to go. If we're going to go 3-9, screw that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to lose games. I want to win. I want to win titles. And knowing that you win titles means you're in the playoffs, and that means you're playing for titles. That's TV time. That the NFL sees you. And you want to be surrounded by players who you don't have to do everything. You're able to go out and do your job and get highlight reels.
Let's take a look at the stats, guys. Let's bring in the stats here. See if we can make those bigger. There we go. Yeah, like I said earlier, if you didn't know and you didn't watch the game and just only looked at the stat book, you would think Stetson Bennett played the whole time because JT Daniels and Carson Beck did not register a pass. Stetson goes 14 of 22, 155 yards for 4 touchdowns, 70% completion rating, 243.1 QB rating. Good God. McIntosh is your leading rusher. He took off on that one play for 59 yards. Yeah. Absolutely just took off. Dejon Edwards, mop-up duty, 43 yards, 6 carries, and a touchdown for him. James Cook, Zamir White, both averaging over 4 yards a carry, 4.6 for Cook, 5.7 for Zamir. Savion Clark, walk on, getting a couple reps there at the end, 5 for 22. Stetson going 3 for 7 and 1 team rush for -1. As far as the wide receivers go, Brock Bowers, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards, 1 touchdown for McConkey off 2 receptions, a touchdown for Burton. Those were the 4 touchdowns for Georgia. On Georgia Tech's side, was not pretty, guys. 8 of 16, 73 yards, 50% completion percentage for Jordan Yates. 90 rush yards, 2.8 yards a carry. If you take out the sack adjusted rush yards, they did go for 134 on the ground, 4.2 yards a carry. Something to be concerned about here on the postgame overreaction show, or is that just a stat?
Yeah.
I mean, they're running into the boundary over and over and over again because that's the only thing that was open to them.
Well, you could tell what they were trying to do. They were trying to run wide and then cut back and try to get the Georgia's overly aggressive defense to pursue and them to cut back, and those angles really got shut off in the second half.
They hit a couple screens that were smart plays. I thought they were called like, "Oh, you're going to be that aggressive. We're just going to dump it over the top of you."
Yeah, they had a couple of those. Keely Ringo broke one of those up, though. Didn't let it happen. As far as defensive stats wise, Nakobe Dean led the team. Hey, Trent, there you go. Second time this year. Yeah, second time this season. Leading the team in tackles with 6. Quay Walker with 5.
He's with terrible.
8. Damn, 8 tackles.
I can't even lead the team in tackles, but it's twice.
8 tackles for loss. That's I didn't expect that many. 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hurries, and 1 pass breakup by old Robert Beal Jr. coming off the edge over there.
He tipped the ball because their quarterback's too short.
That play, Dumas Johnson blew up that running back. That was a nice play.
Dumas Johnson is going to step into that middle linebacker role next year and is going to start for 2 to 3 years. And
I'm Team Munden.
Hey, keep an eye on Smile Munden.
There's 2 spots.
I'm on Team Munden, even though Dumas Johnson's from my neck of the woods. But
all right, you be on Team Munden. I'll be on Team JDJ, and we'll see where it lands. You beat me this year with taking Bowers, and I took A.D. Mitchell. So
they're both going to play, so it don't matter.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. We'll see at the end.
I don't know how you went on that hype train.
I don't know either, man. Speaking of, A.D. Mitchell did not have a good game, and Stetson looked pretty pissed with him today.
Yeah, that drop. If he would have caught that, he would have been perfect in completions in the first half, right?
He was 9 for 10.
Yeah, that's why.
He was 9 for 10 with completions to 9 different receivers. That's amazing.
The problem though is you could tell Stetson was frustrated with AD because he threw him. Where is it? Let's go right here. Let's see. AD Mitchell, 5 targets. He had 1 reception. I mean, yes, they only tallied him with 1 drop. I want to say he had maybe 1 or 2 more. There was the one overthrown at the end of the half.
So 4 of the 6.
4 of the 6 were to AD Mitchell that were incomplete. Yes,
and the one to Jermaine Burton was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
Paul, if you want a quick update, Alabama's first 2 drives on offense have been terrible. So
here's a scenario I wanted to ask you about. This is beside the stats. Let's stop talking about stats for a minute.
All right.
If Auburn beats Alabama today, if something happened and Auburn beat Alabama, which anything can happen in the Iron Bowl.
And Jordan Hare, too.
What? Georgia's in.
Alabama's out.
So what are you playing for next week besides the SEC title?
Cincinnati.
And because, in my opinion, even if Georgia loses next week, they're probably a top 2 seed.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, that goes back to the whole.
No, you just play your second team and just let them have
it. Do you? But you don't though. You don't.
No, he's like, hey Jordan, you're off this week. Everybody, hey,
that's the
JT, go nuts. You know.
Really? No, seriously.
And
that's what Roddy would want. Third JT out, and then the playoff bring back Stetson. Oh, that'd be the ultimate troll. Roddy would definitely be behind that.
If you want him to get, everybody wants him to get reps and to be. In other words, Stetson doesn't need any more reps right now to stay sharp. He's good. JT he didn't get a chance to throw the ball today. You let him go against Alabama. That way, you got 2 good quarterbacks going in who are game ready for the playoffs. You know. Just rest everybody, all the starters, you know, let's go second team. And if they can't beat Alabama, fine. But when that first game rolls around against Notre Dame.
Are you being like 100% serious now, or are you being facetious?
Only about 50% serious.
You know Kirby's going to go.
Kirby, can he – you were up, 35-0. He still had his starters in?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He wants to slay Saban. He wants to do
exactly. And again, it comes down to all 3 of you guys cover recruiting. There's the mindset out there that if you're when you get that Alabama offer, then you've finally gotten the offer. That is, you have made it. Ohio State can offer you, Georgia can offer you, Clemson can offer you, but amongst these kids who've grown up watching Alabama be dominant, there's something about it. It's like, well, once you got an Alabama offer, and funny, kid gets an Alabama offer, and all of a sudden or Georgia, he gets 13 other ones, because it's like, oh, well, they're willing to take a shot at him. So, but if you really want to change that mindset, that concept, that if you want to win some of those head-to-head recruiting battles, you have to win head-to-head on the field at some point, and
especially with signing day coming the next week.
I was going to say a win is huge because that weekend after the Alabama games, last weekend before signing day, and they're going to have like Marvin Jones, Jamar James on campus, and you beat Bama. That's huge momentum to sell.
This is our trajectory. This is their trajectory. We're still moving up. Jamar James. Think about it, you're trying to pull a kid out of Mobile.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know that everybody understands how freaking hard that is. Getting any kid out of Alabama is tough. Mobile, very tough. So,
speaking of recruiting, Amari Carmichael asked, "Do I still have Ben's Post-it note of his class?" And I do. I'm going to sign it. If you get it right, Ben, you're really close. Sign
Paul,
Jaheim
I
Singletary.
said Georgia was going to beat Florida by the most points since Mullen's been the coach, right? And that was correct.
That's not on this list. This list says sign Jaheim Singletary.
But I said that on the video.
Okay, we'll go back
at least 21.
We're talking about recruiting, Ben.
I'm about recruiting, Ben.
All right, never mind.
Jeez. Yeah, sign Jaheim Singletary, sign Kamari Wilson, sign Ernest Green, flip either Bowie or Humphrey, and then you said best DB class ever at UGA.
I think I'm right.
Pretty close to me signing this. You have some of my desk on this piece of tape, by the way. So
check.
There you go. There you go, Amari Carmichael. I do still have it. I have not thrown it away. I will send it to Ben as a Christmas present if he gets close to that.
Hey, I do need everybody that's watching this to please share this with your friends and family. It would mean a lot to us.
Yes.
So if you're on, take a second, hit the little share button, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter. That would mean a lot to us. And
next week's going to be crazy. Next week, Amari, you've been riding with us since the beginning. We're going to get your questions up, man. But next week's going to be crazy in terms of how many people are going to be watching. So,
you know what else is crazy?
What's up?
Georgia Tech's been over how long? An hour?
An hour.
Florida and Florida State just finished.
Damn. Who won?
Florida won.
Florida by field goal.
Yeah, 24-21.
So Florida's going bowling. FSU is not. That means almost every SEC school minus Vandy, I want to say, is going bowling this year.
Is South Carolina win 6?
No, LSU. LSU hasn't yet. They're 5-6.
Oh. South Carolina. I think South Carolina.
Everyone else has. Yeah, South Carolina has. Mizzou has.
Yeah.
So does South Carolina beat Clemson tonight for the clean sweep?
They're in my parlay tonight to cover. I have them covering tonight.
You want a sleeper pick? I think if Wisconsin wins, I think they beat Michigan in the Big Ten title game.
I was wondering about that, Ben. I was wondering about that.
Then I have to. My brother's preaching Jim Harbaugh. I have to bet against him.
Then it gets really interesting. Interesting.
I mean,
Jim Harbaugh's got to choke at some point.
Because then if you have, if Oklahoma wants to beat Oklahoma State tonight, then they'd have to turn around and play again. Correct?
Yes.
Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, but if Oklahoma State wins, then they play Baylor.
Correct.
Yes.
But what if Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State tonight, then Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma next week?
Both out.
They're both out. So what we're talking about, a 2-loss team in the playoffs. Some 2-loss team.
Notre Dame's going to get Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Roddy needs that to happen. If Roddy had a parlay 100% Notre Dame every week until they play Georgia.
Well, that's how it works.
Anthony Spano's asking, what's the phone number to call in? Guys, if you want to call in, it's in the description in the YouTube channel. It says join the conversation. Hit that link, and you can join up with us.
There's going to be a lot of question marks for the playoffs over the next 2 weeks. But the one thing that you do know is Georgia's more than likely in unless they just somehow – I don't
lose 50-0.
Yeah,
the other lock should be Cincy.
And even then,
Cincy's probably the other lock.
Yeah. I don't see a scenario.
Since they've got a tough game next week.
Who?
They play in the championship. They play
Houston.
Houston. Houston's what, 10-2?
Haven't they already played this year? Or am I tripping on that? I don't know.
No, they haven't.
I don't watch the American Conference too much.
I mean,
to be
they
honest
killed
with you,
SMU, who I think they might have played Houston.
Let's
Ooh,
let Roddy
what's-
smoke it up for a minute.
Yeah, Roddy, what is this?
I need to talk about our friends over at Rogue Apothecary. They're the ones that actually sponsor this post-game overreaction show. Great folks over there. Love their products, especially if you need a sleep aid or you need an anti-inflammatory. Like me, I make 2 walking trips a day, and I have my left knee. I need a meniscus surgery, but I've been waiting for that waiting on that surgery till the end of the season. But they have some fun stuff over there. They have the CBD oils, they have the concentrates, they have the edibles and Delta 8 products and stuff like that. But I want to talk a little bit real quick about the folks that actually run that thing. You know, it's Richard and his wife. It's a husband and wife team. They have 2 kids, 10 and 8. They have 3 recreational farms out in Oregon, currently running an indoor state-of-the-art cannabis cultivation center over in Wisconsin. Richard did 2 tours in Iraq. He is a disabled vet, and he came back and he had some pain issues, and he couldn't get around it. And someone said, "Hey, look, try the CBD oil." And he's like, "Dude, I'm an athlete. I'm a warrior. This isn't going to work for me." But it did. And he's like, "Holy crap, where's this been my whole life?" He's like, "Man, this stuff is for losers. I'm not going to do any of this homeopathic garbage." But he tried it because he was at the end of his rope, and he's a believer in it. And they are a big sponsor of our Texas site, and the Texas folks out there just rave about his products. And he is very much engaged. He puts a note on our board every now and then, and he will answer all your questions. The Delta THC, the HHC, and all that stuff are very legal in the state of Georgia as long as they're hemp derived, which his are. So if you need anything from Richard and the folks over at Rogue Apothecary, hit them up right there at the Rogue shop. Without them, you know, it'd just be very tough to have a show like this. So right now they have their Black Friday deals where you can get the full spectrum stuff for the full or the broad spectrum. One is a very beneficial sleep aid, and one is a very effective pain reliever. So try them out. The little boxes there, they're about $26 off, and hit them up, and they will take care of you. All right, let's hit some of the questions over there.
Well, we've got Chip Crook.
Yeah,
let's bring in Chip. Let's bring in Chip Crook here. Chip, what's going on, man? How about those dogs?
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
I love the shirt.
Yeah, man, got that from 7-6 Apparel.
Yeah.
You know, watch the watch along with you and Coach.
Yes.
You know, every year during the college football playoffs, I sit here on my couch and I tweet out about how Notre Dame does not belong in the college football playoffs, and their play on the field proves it every year, year in, year out. This year, I have a legitimate chance that my team is going to benefit from those pathetic bunch of losers from being in the playoffs. I mean, this is actually I'm happy Notre Dame's going to make the playoffs this year because my team's going to get to wipe the floor with them, just like all these other teams in past years have gotten it done when they didn't belong.
Yeah, you're exactly right. What do
Root
you?
for Cincy too.
Well, what's your take on this Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan winning? You know, who's your Final Four right now?
It's Georgia and everybody else. Well, you know, I want to knock Alabama out. We're going to have to beat them either next Saturday or we're going to have to beat them in the playoffs for the national championship. There's no 2 ways about it. So we can call it the SEC championship. We can call it the national championship. But that's what it's going to be next Saturday, de facto, because we're going to have to go through them one way or the other. But right now, I'm glad Ohio State's gone. Michigan was gashing them in the fourth quarter with the run game. I'm glad Ohio State's gone. We have that right now. We take care of Alabama. We have the easiest road to the national championship I could ever imagine.
Yeah,
an overrated Cincinnati team that's played nobody, and then you got Notre Dame who lost to them. Yep. And then you got who else? You know, maybe Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, but that's it. I mean, we're going to be sitting there playing, or Michigan could lose their way in. They could, lose their way out if they don't beat Wisconsin. I'm sitting here. We're sitting in the catbird seat. We just got to take care of Alabama.
Yeah, exactly right.
Chip nailed it, and he makes a good point. Every year I'm sitting here complaining about Notre Dame being in it. That's why I've been saying since the first week those things came out, I'm like, yeah, Notre Dame's at 12th. They'll be in it because teams ahead of them lose. They play Navy and they play Army and they play nobody. And then but they keep winning at the end. They've only played one good team who they've lost to, and they get in because they're Notre freaking Dame. And Chip's seen it every year. Hey, there's no reason for them to be in there. But this year I'm rooting for Bedlam. I'm rooting for put in Cincinnati, put in Notre Dame, put in Vandy.
Are you okay, Chip?
Is there a way to get Vandy in there?
Last question, Chip, before we get over to Anthony. We appreciate you calling in, man. We'd love to hear from you next week after the game as well.
I hope I'll be in emotional condition to call in, because I may not be, because I may be, like past years, just,
in the corner,
unbelievably upset and depressed. But I'm hoping not, because
I think either way you'll be fine, though.
Yeah, I think, My question to you, though, Chip, is does it matter that Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and maybe like a terrible Michigan team or the final three teams in there with Georgia? Or do you, because the national media is going to say, well, they didn't play anybody in the college football playoff and they won. Does that matter to you, or do you just want the title?
No, I want the title, and I don't care, because then all the experts were picking these good teams and they end up being nobodies. Then we're the only team in the country. I mean, if we beat Alabama and you still say we've beaten nobody, and then we beat Cincinnati, the darling, and we beat Notre Dame, the darling, and we beat maybe Michigan, the darling, and we still haven't beaten anybody, and we're undefeated 15-0, they can kiss my backside.
Yeah,
I'm with you there.
I figured that was the answer. I just wanted to ask, because that's going to be the talk, man. That's going to be the talk. Oh, this is the worst college football playoff since its inception. That's going to be the thing.
I love these when they talk about these running backs that are awesome, and they talk about they get 200 yards this game and 200 yards that game. See Missouri, and then they can't get 50 yards against Georgia. I laugh my butt off. All these great teams with their great running backs, their great offense, they play us, and all of a sudden they have a bad game. Imagine that.
Just so happens, huh? Well, Chip, man, we really appreciate you calling in. We've got Anthony waiting on us. We'll talk to you next week. Give us a call next week, regardless of the outcome. We'll talk you through it.
We'll see you next week.
We'll talk to you at the ledge or celebrate with you either way. Anthony, what's going on, my man? You got the Georgia jersey on, sitting there in the recliner, it looks like. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on? The only jersey. What's your thoughts on the game today?
I thought it was good. I thought Chip brought up some stuff that was nice. It doesn't really matter who we play as long as we win. And even though that was Roddy's doppelganger, I don't know if anybody else picked up on that. That was kind of really weird to look at the bottom left and the top right and see the exact same picture.
Never see us in the same room.
I know, right? Hey, I'm happy to talk to you guys, man. Roddy, I appreciate everything you guys do with UGA Sports. Sorry, I'm watching the Alabama game. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm whipping my head around here too.
But hey, Roddy, I was on a couple of years ago when you and Jake did there was a post-game show, and my wife talks about it all the time. And I said something about I had put a comment in the section, and you and Jake just like died laughing, and it said it was like a tree fell on a baby. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
From a bunch of years ago, and you said you win the internet, have another one. And the problem was I was completely sober when I said it. And all I did was share it to everybody, like at work the next day. And they're like, "Oh my God, you weren't drunk when you said that?" I was like, "No, I wasn't drunk when I said it."
No, you have to be pretty sober to come up with a good one like that.
Right. Hey, but I wanna make sure that everybody that's in the chat or that has a propensity to doubt you guys. Stetson Bennett is doing everything he's supposed to do to win Georgia a national championship this year. He's doing everything that he's been asked to do and then some. And now we're getting the offensive weapons back. And people want to say that it's because of only the defense. Well, the defense doesn't put up 48 points a game. They don't put up 40 points a game against ranked teams, on the road, against rivals every year. I don't care how bad they are or not. Stetson Bennett's leading the team right now. Period. 100%. You can like it or love it. And there's people out there that I honestly think that are big quotations. Georgia fans that are waiting for Georgia or waiting for Stetson Bennett to do something bad just so 14 games into the season can say, see, I told you so. Instead of really accepting this is a historic season for Georgia, and regardless on whether or not they're winning the way that you want them to win, just appreciate it for what it is. It's something that Georgia fans, I'm 45, I'll be 46 tomorrow. I know you don't think that
Happy early
because
birthday.
it's not gray. There's no coloring in here, by the way.
That's a wig.
No, it's not. It's all me, baby. So the fact that this is what us Georgia fans have been waiting for 40 plus years, and for anybody that's a new to the scene observer says, well, we should probably be doing it this way because I know better than the fucking coaches that are at practice every fucking day.
Well, that is an issue. And here's the thing: people act like I'm pro Bennett or anti.
No, I get it.
But my whole thing is, look, I had somebody text me. He's a very good friend of mine. I love this guy like a brother. And at the end of the half, he sent me notes like, "Hey, Stetson's making this offense look mediocre." I'm like, he's got 3 touchdowns. You know, he's like, well, against this team, he should. I'm like, well, you do see the double standard there where you can't win for losing, because if you do what you're supposed to, then that's, again, well, you're supposed to. This team's terrible. But if you have any incompletion, any bad thing, it proves their stance. And I do the same thing with – I see this the same thing when people come out against a coach. When people are coming out against Mark Richt, or people coming out against Jim Donnan, or whoever, and the Jim Harbaugh thing, if he'd lost today. Once you've taken a stance, and I don't say against your team, or once you've taken a critical stance about a player or a coach, now you're against the grain, and you have to justify that, and you point to the same problems. And maybe you're right. And there is the possibility that, Georgia loses a playoff game or loses a title game with Stetson Bennett quarterback, and everyone's going to point to him and go, damn it, we told you from week 2 not to do that. So be it. But again, Kirby's not trying to lose games. And in his heart of hearts, you can disagree with him, but in his heart of hearts, he believes that they have the guy that helps them right now. Maybe that's not the way the season started. And I do want to address something with you, Anthony, because you'll get this. People say, well, why wasn't Stetson Bennett the starter in week 1? Why wasn't he the number 2 guy in spring? And I think Coach Donnan mentioned it really well on the Tuesday show. He said, look, they were trying to go pro style. Todd Monken, pro style quarterback with JT Daniels and all those great receivers. They saw some issues in the fall. They realized they didn't have good pass protection on a pure drop back pass, and they started losing wide receivers left and right. They went to Clemson, couldn't do a whole lot. They're like, this isn't going to work. Plus JT gets hurt. They put in the number 2 guy. They're going to stick with that pro style. They brought in Carson Beck. Carson that week going into the UAB game did not do well. And they're like, this isn't going to work. So they've coached themselves 180 degrees and said, we need to go dual threat. We need to go RPOs, play action, stuff like that. And then it's going to be our guy for that. That's not how they wanted to do it, but that's just how it worked out. So it's just
well, I think a lot of people don't realize that the MVP of the season so far this year is Todd Monken.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
look, we're all pointing to Dan Lanning giving up 6.9 points a game.
Yeah. But Roddy, that the only reason that Georgia is where they're at now is because of their defense. It's not because of their offense.
Yeah.
They're only scoring 38 points a game, 39 points a game and doubling everybody's score, but it's because of the defense. It's not because of the offense. Yeah. It's such a narrow-minded narrative that people want to take with them to the grave because they just want to make sure that they're proven right, even though they're considered to be a fan.
Yeah, I'm the same way, so I can't make fun.
I know, but I just want to. I want to take you guys. I don't want to go too much longer because I normally get paid for the amount of time I've been on air today. But you guys do an awesome job, man, and you guys are the best show out there. I wish you guys could do a show every day if you could, but I know Roddy's cheap, so. But
he is very cheap. Yeah. Can you tell him to give me a raise, Anthony, before you go?
oh, you're still wearing the same hoodie from last week. So
No, I changed. I did change. I changed, Anthony.
Okay.
I changed. I went back and watched what I was wearing last week. I wore a different one.
okay.
I did.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for everything that you do. And hey, bitches, 12-0. Let's do this.
There you go.
Deuces.
See you, Anthony.
Y'all want to hear something interesting?
Hey, we're
Stetson
gonna add
Bennett,
BK too after you.
Yeah, we got to add. Yeah. What you got, Trent?
Stetson Bennett has attempted 183 passes this year, and he's put up good numbers. His completion percentage is over 65%. He's only attempted 11 passes in the fourth quarter this season.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Well, it's because he doesn't have a strong enough arm to throw more than 14 passes.
But the thing about averaging 38, 39 points a game is they really could average 50 points a game if they played 4 quarters.
Yeah, that's a great point because when you're basically running the clocks out from the 10-minute mark in the fourth quarter,
Third quarter.
in other games, it's like Jordan gets the ball and they're like, okay, there's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Hey, Dejan, how you feeling today, brother? Just hand it Dejan.
Hey, Savin Clark, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of what's going on, BK UGA out in the wilderness looks like he's been taking a hike. What's going on, man?
Dude, look, hunting.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Doing
Hey,
great.
man. Doing
Listen,
good,
so
doing
much,
good.
so much appreciate this show and literally all the content. I may not be able to get to watch everything live, but I literally schedule my week at certain points, knowing, hey, listen, I can get my hour of my show in here, or around the league, or UGA Sports Live, whatever it is. So I just very appreciative of all the content. It makes that
You're really gonna make me cry, BKC.
it makes it $100 a year massively worth it. And please,
It's
don't
only
go
$20 right now, man.
Well,
Don't
I'm
tell
not
him
on
that,
plan.
Roddy. He's not on that plan.
Hey,
Keep him on. Keep him on
look,
the
I
other
paid
one. so I
him to
can-
come on and say this.
I'm not a noob, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Even though I have spread the gospel of UGA sports to all my family, like, look, $20, you can't beat it right now.
Right.
This is my second time on the show. I was on earlier in the season, and then last week I took my son and our family. The first game he had been to, a live game. First got my tickets off of UGA Sports from a season ticket holder. In fact, I did everything that Roddy said, which is you go back and look when they joined, how many times they post, are they legit?
Yep.
And he was 100% legit, and it was an awesome experience. But look, I'm not here to talk about who's playing and not playing and why this person playing. I'm here to talk about that I'm 40 years old. The last time we were in this type of position, I was in the womb. Actually, no, wait a minute. I was not in the womb. I was out of the womb soon, and do not remember anything of it. So I have been one of the people, as Donnan says, you people need to enjoy the ride. And I've absolutely enjoyed this ride. And we're not done. I absolutely believe it. I told my mini-me earlier this week, I said the 4 is going to be Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame. And it looks like I've got a good chance to be right.
Wow.
Based on Michigan winning. And then I think Notre Dame will slide in there. And I think our most difficult game of the season is on Saturday. But based on what Auburn is currently doing and how well they're playing, Rammer Jammer, I think we're going to handle the business quite well by about 14 points or so, maybe more. I don't know. And I think I don't think, yes, sir, at least 14, maybe 17. I was at 17 earlier in the week. I've kind of dropped a little bit. We'll see how far it drops between now and next Saturday.
Yeah, you're right.
Then BK, you remember what Reese Davis said. Said when Georgia finally beats Alabama,
it's over.
He said it's going to be like, he said they're going to get out all their frustrations. Now maybe it's next week, maybe it's not. But he said it won't be like 27-28. It'll be 92-6. And again, I think if Kirby's kind of look at the second half of this game. Hey, run it. Let's get out of here. But I think if he's putting a beat down on Alabama, Stetson, keep throwing it. JT, keep throwing it. Hey, Zeus, keep running it. We're not pulling nobody. We're not going second team. He's going to run up the damn score and then turn to Shamar James and Mobile and go, just saying, Trent, who's the offensive tackle in Columbus? Pritchett.
Yeah, Elijah Pritchett.
Hey, don't you want to come play with Georgia to stay in state? You know, I'm not saying they're trying to flip him. I'm just saying, it's
we're already opening up.
You want to change that concept of who is the top dog in the SEC, and I think if Kirby gets a chance, I don't say run it up, but he'd run it up.
Oh, absolutely. And it'll be one of these deals. We're already opening up a can on them in the recruiting show as it is. By the way, awesome recruiting work as always. But don't
hype up Trent too hard, BK.
Listen, you people kill it. I mean, seriously. It ain't no blowing no smoke. I've seen other pages. I'm not been on other pages. There's nothing closed, people. Jump on now while you can. There's 20,000 something people on this. All 20,000 of you need to be on the page. It's legit. And I don't talk a ton. I do a little bit. I talked a little more this year. Just like every freaking week, you just know. Like Roddy was saying this earlier, the nervousness. Man, you sit down and you're like, so how about we go in this week? 3, maybe 4 touchdowns? Yeah, probably.
When have we ever been like that?
No. But I'm telling you, this is the new world order, my friend. This is the Kirby train, the new world order. And these people better get on it. You're late by now if you're not on it. I know.
You're right. You're right.
BK actually was talking to a guy who covers Alabama, and he's like, look, this fan base is bored. They're bored. Because every week, unless it's a LSU game when LSU was good, or Auburn's good, he's like, for years, they know going into the game, they're going to win 56-7. Because they just
that might be why Nick Saban came out and did that rant this week.
Exactly, because they all of a sudden they stop hitting 56-7, and it's 34-30, and all of a sudden people are like, what the hell's going on? He's like, dude, do you understand how good you had it? How good you normally have it? So
I was going to ask the three of you, have you noticed how positive he has been this season? In general, about his team,
Yeah.
Not about the fan base reaction, I think, but about his team. When is he typically positive?
When he's covering something up.
When they're losing.
Yeah.
Let's see him clapping on the sideline. Oh, come on, guys, let's go. He knows what's coming, baby. He knows that this year and the year. And he knows what's going down in Athens. He can tell you every probably score, what we're doing. But if you see what Auburn's doing right now on the pass rush, can you imagine what's going to happen next week?
That right tackle, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you might be onto something, really. I mean, I know I said wow when you said 14, but you might be on it. I mean, right now it's 0-0. What with 11:30 left to go in the second quarter? Right now, still 0-0.
The final number. Oh my soul! Yeah, could you imagine Bo Nix there? What would be happening right now?
That's what I'm saying. This is a team you should be blowing off the ball. And how many years has Coach Harsin been there?
This is his numero uno.
Massive respect to Alabama too. I'm not trying to disrespect them whatsoever.
No.
Look, I want to be hated just like they are. I want to wake up one day and like, oh crap, here we go again. It's Georgia again. Here comes another loss. Yeah, baby, that's right. Here comes Georgia again. That's another loss, son. That's how we do. I want to get to that point. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But
again, that's why I'm like, I don't need that Florida job. What about that Virginia Tech job? I can go up there and win.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to Arizona State. I can coach there.
Yeah, TCU
go back to
Washington.
Yeah,
or Washington. TCU, Washington, West Virginia.
Yeah, Washington. Oh, shit, man. We can win at Washington. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, you might want to go to the Big 12 now that Texas Oklahoma's coming over here.
Yeah,
Lincoln Riley might be making his way over here before then. Sounds like he might be headed to LSU. So
yeah, where's that? What are we hearing post, man? Because I know it's already been done, right?
Now that what are we hearing post would be a Georgia coach leaving. You don't need to see that.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I don't want me to post anything right now. Trust me.
No. Hey, I'm telling you,
don't want that one.
After last week, and you saw what Arkansas did to Bama. At that point, I was like, dude, I guess it's terrible, but I'm not worried about next week.
Well, you're right.
You don't have that little piece inside of you, BK, man, from the past few years. You don't have.
I just don't.
That's not. Are you being serious? There's nothing inside of you right now that's got you a little worried. It's Bama you're playing next week.
I'm gonna tell you 1,000%, and I am that person. Look, 2nd and 26, when that ball is in the air, I ain't gonna pretend. My child goes to the bedroom. I'm going to the bed. I mean, the ball ain't been caught yet. I was like, we lost. Crap. That whole feeling. right? Right? And you have to see that over and over again on all the ESPNs and stuff. I tell you what they're going to be showing this year. They're going to show Kendall Milton, who's going to be back like a light, blowing through a line. They're going to be showing GP going down the line with a touchdown pass, and no more of that bull crap about Georgia, who just isn't quite good enough. Well, who have you played? And how's your defense? Your offense ain't good enough. And over, keep giving us excuses, sweetheart. We putting up W's. That's right. W, son. So every excuse in the world. And this is why, hey, bored people, and I know, like, I'm about to be done, and I'm not actually in the wilderness. I'm in my backyard. I just finished grilling. But listen, hey, this is why this is different. This is different this season. Every game you go in knowing what you're going to put up. 17 points? No. 7 points? Maybe. Possibly. A possible 7. And do I expect Alabama to score more? I do. I don't believe they're going to score 20 points. I do not believe Alabama's going to score. And I may be drinking the Kool-Aid, but baby, it tastes great. I'm going to drink it until we're done.
He's right.
You know what I'm saying? The problem with the board is that they've listened to all these people give excuses why we shouldn't win. How about some reasons why we should win? Which is we the best right now. That's just what it is. Lay it down. Oh, their offense is good enough. I think we're like top 6 in the country.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Take that and run that 99 all the way down to a championship. And by the way, he needs to go to New York just for the simple fact of them having to mention our name over and over and over again. Oh, Georgia's 99. Jordan Davis is here. Oh no! And I will tell you, I was live when my man scored a touchdown last week.
I love it.
You want to see a lit environment? Yes, sir. Big 99. And by the way, he was ahead of touchdown the first time. They just want to see it again, sweetheart. See that beautiful 360 pounds, leap like a Superman. Listen, I do love all you guys. I appreciate all the work and effort you do.
Hey, man, we appreciate you. Give us a call back next week, man. Next week, no matter what, win or loss, we want you back, BK. Back in the same spot.
I love it.
Out in the wilderness.
Thank you, BK.
Right.
We'll see you.
Hey, check's in the mail, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Check's in the mail.
See ya.
See ya. Yeah, that was pretty good. Back to back. Great.
Why do I need you guys on the show? They're
Yeah.
a hell of a lot better than y'all.
Yeah, man.
You know, you should think about having a subscriber show only.
I will tell you this. I went to pick Coach Donald up from the airport yesterday. He flew out to see his family in Oklahoma. And I've already talked to this about our buddy over at the 7-6 Chance. Chase. And I've come up with the concept of having a fan-only show, basically like one moderator and have 3 fans and one maybe rotating guy. And I thought, our buddy over at the 7-6 would be a good opportunity for that. He's very well versed in it. Guys like BK, guys like Anthony, Eddie from Ackworth, because think about this, 90% of our fans or our readers do not post.
Yep.
There's only about 10% of them that actually post. But every one of them goes and reads, and they go read the interplay, the back and forth between the posters. They read what's going on. So why can't we take that community and bring it to YouTube and basically have the Dog Vent Live? That was the name of the show I came up with, just driving back. I was talking to Coach Donald about it. I'm like, here's this idea I had. And I think he'd just go, oh, that's silly. Why would – he's like, no, that's a good idea. And I'm like, because some people want to watch. What do you want to watch? Do you want to watch another bad streaming show, or do you want to watch people talk about full-on fans talk about Georgia stuff? And it's the same conversations they're having in their living room right now after watching the game. They're hanging out at the same conversation you have at a tailgate. Let's get some guys, call it the UGA Sports or the Dog Vent Live, and just have a fan show. And basically one of us just run the board and let them talk. And again, it'd be full us and we versus them and they. We can't do that. We have to be somewhat objective. So we can actually just go balls to the wall, full fan site, and have it once or twice a week. So it's coming. It's already in the works. And
Chip Crook says, I'm in Dog Vent Live. Katie Clark, so in.
See, Chip and Katie, fantastic. I mean, Chip
Brett Weimer, do you want to risk an hour of Fromm Fields arguments?
Honestly, yeah. Here's the thing, Chip. I mean, Brett, if we monetize that show, at the end of the day, we probably have like $60.
Oh, that's good, Brett. I like that.
Vote with your super chat.
Yeah. Vote with your super chat. Everybody gets to vote. Did you want
Field or did you want $2?
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. Indie Clip says, man, Bama looking bad right now. Bama's looking bad. What's the score?
0-0.
Jeez. And TJ Finley's out there for Auburn, who I think he's a little more talented than Bo Nix, but Bo Nix has been there forever. So
look, TJ Finley was third string quarterback.
Stop it. No, TJ Finley is
quarterbacks cannot win you football games. We know this.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, Trent. What wasn't Stetson Bennett the third string quarterback?
Don't come at me like that.
I'm just saying you came hard at me right there.
You're talking about two different programs on two different trajectories.
What I'm saying is TJ Finley is an okay quarterback. I like his size. I think
you got to be an okay quarterback to be in college.
Yeah, well, okay, Trent. Jeez, whatever. I don't care.
TJ Finley should not beat Bama.
No, absolutely not.
What's his name? Texas A&M
Zach
quarterback?
Calzada.
Zach Calzada should not beat Bama. It's just I don't.
Well, if you're going that way, should Stetson Bennett beat Bama? I don't know.
Right, he should.
Okay, I'm just asking.
He's a mailman. He don't give a crap.
Here's a question for you guys. Since he got left off of Spanos says, sorry about the F-bombs, Paul. Yeah, appreciate that, Spanos. But he says, where does Brock Bowers rank as true freshman to play at UGA? Roddy, you've been around a long time.
Right behind Herschel.
Stop it.
You got to put him up there with like Trenton Sturdivant, that's just a guy that actually comes in and just blow the doors off of everybody. Just mind-boggling good right off the bat. I mean, think about this. He's got 10 touchdowns, right? What's the most? What's the largest number of TDs any wide receiver, not tight end, any wide receivers had at UGA?
11.
I don't think. Yeah, there's only been a few that have been above double digits.
11 was Terrence Edwards, I think.
And then, are there any guys with 10?
I think the rest of them are 9. I think.
Jeez.
So just think about that. A tight end has 10 TDs, and this guy. I mean, he runs too. There's no way. Go back to that 77-yard touchdown he had today. Good throw. It made me nervous because it was actually pretty well covered. Threads the needle, gets it in there, and I'm getting a decision about Stetson. It's about the catch and then the run after. I was looking towards the end when he was about on the 35 to the 30 to the 25, that 10-yard span there. He was actually increasing the distance. Now, if you pull away from a guy on the 10 or 5-yard line, it's because he's pulling up because he knows you scored. But when you're on the 35, your safety still thinks he has a chance to bring you down and keep you from scoring. And the safeties are turning and burning, trying to catch you before you score. And he was pulling away. No man that size should be able to run that fast. It's just I'd love to see the GPS numbers on his run on that 77 yards.
You think they'll put it out as like a little video after the game?
Yeah. If not, we're definitely going to – I mean, our film guys are going to break it down. So
find out how fast he was moving.
Film don't lie stuff is going to be pretty fun.
So Brock Bowers compared to AJ Green as a freshman. I mean, AJ had over 900 yards. Brock's now got 650. 10 touchdowns. AJ had 8. I mean,
yeah, but again, remember how many throws have there been in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also you're throwing the ball to Ladd McConkey a ton. You're throwing it to A.D. Mitchell a ton. Maybe you need to throw it to him a little bit less, but you haven't – George Pickens was not out there, but, you've thrown it some to Jermaine Burton. You're throwing it to the wide receiver. I mean, the running backs.
Do we think Pickens will take over A.D.'s role full-time next week?
If it were me, I would. Again, I don't know what sort of shape.
I will say after George caught that one pass and he did, like you said, the whirling dervish spin, Trent, Kirby looked at him and he was yelling, George, and he was like, get your ass over here. Come on. No. And George wanted to go back in. He's like, no, you're good. You're good. That's all I needed to see.
I was more impressed with him running on Kenny McIntosh's touchdown.
Yes.
And he was on the field and he celebrating in the end zone. Like he jumped up like he was about to get picked up. And I mean, things like that make me feel like he's back to feeling confident about his knee, which confidence has never been an issue for that kid. So I don't think it's going to be now.
Yeah, I thought he ran onto the field. I noticed he was the outside wide receiver on McIntosh's.
You've seen Ladd McConkey's reps go down since Jermaine Burton's been back.
Yes.
So I think you're going to see at least split in half, maybe, him and AD.
I'd be fine to see. Again, you don't know all the other stuff that's going on. You don't know how they did in practice. You don't know the play call. You don't know what's going on from a blocking standpoint. There's a lot. Or let me put it. I don't know. So I don't want to just mix and match. They could know this guy's been working at a Z. And this guy's the X, and you can't just flip them. It's not as big a catch-all there. But I think would like to see a few more of those passes.
The thing that was interesting,
Roseby, Jack Saint, and so maybe he and Mitchell or AD, split some of those reps. Let's see a little more rotation between those two guys. And again, maybe AD just had a bad week, but there's been a couple of those bad weeks.
There's been a couple bad weeks for AD.
And when you have that many potential replacements,
yes. It's kind of the whole thing with Brenny on the defensive side of the ball, how quick they are to pull Brenny because they know they've got Dan Jackson just waiting. They can't do that now with Chris Smith, but
William Poole's playing excellent.
Yeah, he has.
But again, we would also say the same about Warren Erickson. It's like, oh well,
we do say the same about
sack. Just pull it. We're quick to pull people, but we don't know the fact that the guy you put in there may not be as good as the guy that's there. And the guy that goes in to replace him sometimes is, the game's out of hand and he's going up against the second string and the team that's the guy across the way dozies down 35-0. So it's sometimes easy to say the second guy is better, but we don't always know that. So I don't want to say that Roseby Jack Saint is better than AD, but I mean, you've seen a couple balls hit him in the hands, and I haven't seen that as much from the other guys. So that's where
I think route running is what kind of separates him from other. He's dropping balls, but I think
he may be wide open and the other guys can't get there. So maybe I'm completely wrong. Again, I don't pretend to know what the coaches know.
I thought it was interesting to see George. He was on 13 personnel.
Really?
I think all 3 times.
Yeah, he was.
That's an interesting concept.
There was 3 tight ends.
It makes sense, though.
Yeah, it was 3 tight ends, 1 wide receiver on all 3 of his plays. One of them was the drop back pass. Stetson, I think it was Stetson's only sack of the day. They were trying to go deep to him, but and then the run from Kenny McIntosh was 13 personnel, and I believe the pass to the sidelines might not have been 13 personnel because he had receivers out there blocking, but 2 out of 3 were 13 personnel.
B&E Breaks says seems like a timing thing with AD. Doesn't turn his head in time to see how he needs to adjust to make a play. That has been a concern a few times on some balls to AD. Ryan, we brought this up.
It seems easy to fix, right?
Alabama and Auburn are fighting.
Oh my, they are indeed. They are indeed. Little fight in the Iron Bowl there.
It could happen in the third quarter, and they'd be ejected for half of the next game.
Hey, let's see if the quarterback will punch somebody in the helmet and break his hand for next week.
Hey, Bryce Young, go ahead. Do what you got to do, man. Protect your team. Yeah.
Be a man.
Roddy, we talked about this earlier before you got on. Jamari Sawyer obviously is going to be back next week. We think
that's targeting.
Is it targeting?
Yes,
on
sir.
who? Alabama?
Look right here. Bam.
Oh, yeah, that's targeting. Where do you go with this offensive line?
Well, I mean, if you get Jamari back, you got to have him. I really would like to have seen him today if he was healthy. You worry about it because Will Anderson is an absolute monster. So you're going to have to bring in Washington or Brock Bowers or John Fitzpatrick, somebody to just chip him. And of course, you put him on one side. What does he do? He switches to the other. So you'll probably be in 12 personnel.
But I guess my question is, because my thought is maybe take Erickson out, put Sawyer to guard position, leave Jones in. He's been really, really well.
I don't see the thing is, I've seen when Sawyer's going inside, he hasn't been as strong as you thought. He's actually played better at tackle.
So you're just going to take Broderick out, put Sawyer in, leave everybody else the same against Bama.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay. I would just
I guess it's just a guess.
Was that Jameson Williams?
Oh, yes, it was. Oh, is it in? But we're still in the second quarter, right?
Why is he?
Yeah, you're I know what you're thinking. Yeah, you're 9 minutes away from having a hell of a.
Why is he in the game? Well,
I guess was it an interception? Was it some type of interception? Had to have been an interception, but that's definitely targeting.
Yeah,
they've already called it targeting. He's already been.
To me, they call targeting way too much. But when I was coaching my boys, I always told them, look, if they see you looking at grass, they see your head's down, and you get my bald pate here. But if they can see the top, the last thing you saw before you hit him was dirt, they're going to throw you, and I'm going to make you run.
That's definitely the last thing Jameson Williams saw right there was a bunch of grass and dirt. He was
when your head's down. It's very simple. When you a guy drops right before you hit him, and your face mask hits his helmet, and they throw you out for targeting some of these BS calls. I'm like, no.
Oh, guess what it was
your
on?
Head down, you're looking at grass. Do it. A punt
guess
return.
What it was on? It was on punt return. Chip and Katie both said punt return.
Thanks, what was Zeus doing on punt return?
No, but that's the thing. Hold on. We talk about this all the time. Kirby loves doing that too. Kirby loves putting his best guys on punt return.
Yeah, because you go back and look at Zamir White and DeAndre
but you just lost your best
dropping guys left and right on punt return.
I know, but you just lost your best wide receiver at 0-0. You don't have him for the rest of the game because he's on punt return doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely targeting. I don't know what
again, you coach around that. Hey, don't do something stupid, but go down and make a play. And you look at Zamir White, Sony Michel's first play ever for UGA.
I get it, man. I get
South Carolina was on a punt kick coverage or punt coverage. He dropped a guy because he's so fast. He's your fastest player.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
Oh, I know you. I can see the tears. Paul, stop crying. It's okay.
No, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, dude. If you put your guys out there 99 out of 100 times, it'll work. You don't have to worry about it. There is that 1% chance where your 5-star or your big-time wide receiver, your best wide receiver, goes down and it gets targeting, and it just so happens to kick you in the nads right against Auburn when it's 0-0 in the Iron Bowl.
You're right, but at the same time, it's if you're going down there with your third-string wide receiver.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
Again, there's a reason they say put your best 11 out there. And on everything. So
Amari says changes their whole offense now. Alabama's. It does.
He'll be fresh next week.
Chip Crook says root for targeting calls in the second half for Bama.
Yeah.
Chip, like we said, you were 9 minutes away from Jameson Williams not playing in the first half.
Hey, no, but I love all this. The guys getting chippy and talking a bunch of crap to each other. That's when you start getting those targeting calls and personal fouls in the second half. So.
Yep.
And if I'm Auburn, I goad them into hitting me.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing. We got nothing to lose here, baby.
I'm describing what their mama looks like naked.
Yeah.
I'm describing how your parents were never married. Talking about how your sister, what we used to call her. Oh, you don't even have a sister? Oh, I'm sorry, that was your mom. I'm just nonstop going after these guys, and you want them to take a swing.
Yep.
Hit me if you're a man. They hit you in the helmet, and they're going to.
Going around the league, Oregon doesn't matter anymore. They're 17-3 up against Oregon State. Michigan State 17-14 over Penn State with 5-6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Minnesota 3 over Wisconsin. If Wisconsin loses that game, Iowa goes to the Big Ten. What is it? Yeah, Big Ten championship. It always confuses me. They've got 12 teams in the Big Ten, 10 in the Big 12, whatever. If Wisconsin loses that game, though, Iowa will play against Michigan. So that one's going to be there.
What we should do is a watch-along show for this thing and just make fun of both teams for about 4 hours.
We should. I wish we could. I wish we could play it. I know Trent's got it on the background back there, but I wish we could actually play the show or play the game and just make fun of these guys the whole time. That would be fun. What else you got, Roddy?
Oh, yeah. You didn't even ask me my thoughts on the game, so I appreciate that.
I didn't. Yeah, normally we do initial thoughts when people come on.
Georgia Tech sucks so bad.
Yeah. I mean, it was 45-0, man. I mean, the game literally was over in under 3 hours.
I'm just saying, if you're a Georgia Tech fan, this is what you need right there. Get them Delta gummies. Get them Jolly Ranchers, get the full spectrum. You need all them things. You need the lollipops. You need the you need everything here. You need that hot chocolate, you need that seasoning. You need all that if you're a Georgia Tech fan right now. That's absolutely where you need to be. A bad team. Hopefully no one was injured. We saw that Kyrus Jackson had the little
rib injury.
You want to come out of that game healthy. You got to rest your starters. You embarrassed them on their field. You didn't let them score. But I do want to give a shout out to Jeff Collins. We did go to high school together. He was a year ahead of me, or 2 years, something like that. We weren't close. We weren't buddies. We did track together, and I mentioned that in the past. But I did like the fact that he didn't go for the cheap field goal a couple times, just to get on the scoreboard. You're down 25, or you're down or 24 points. You're down 31 points, something like that. He wasn't, hey, let me get a field goal just to just so that I could say that we weren't shut out. He actually did try to go. And we talked about how it's tough to recruit there. It's tough to come in and change that team from the triple option to, a pro style. But hey, you did exactly what you wanted to. Stetson looked good. I would like to have seen JT get a chance to throw the ball. Kirby, but he doesn't want to run it up for whatever reason. I saw Carson.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, I do want to say this though. A couple of times I thought they were prepared to throw, and it looked like JT checked out of it into runs. He's like, okay, they're expecting me to throw, but they're giving me the run. So he handed the ball off twice, then went 7 yards and 8 yards. Okay.
Fair.
If that was true, then hey, great job, JT, for being selfless and not trying to force it. If they're going to give you the run, take it. And that's what you want from your quarterback. He doesn't need to pad his numbers. He's a talented guy. If he's putting them in a run and gashing them, then great job, JT. So, but just an absolute blowout. But again, if all you left with was one injury in a heated rivalry that can be, I consider yourself lucky. I mean, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but how many times have we seen? You guys remember covering the first series just about every year. There'd be a cut block that would take out Georgia's best defender.
Yeah,
every damn year. Oh, hey, look, Geno Atkins is out. Hey, Charlie Jenkins is injured. There goes Atkins. Just one after another.
Charleston Southern did that a lot last week. They did a lot of cut blocking. Luckily, Georgia was able to walk away scot-free out of that.
We should get Garrison Hurst on here to talk about. I mean, not Garrison, Garrison Smith on here to talk about this shit they pulled.
Oh yeah. I went to school with Garrison. Garrison, nice guy. I went to school with Sean Williams too. Sean was one of my good buddies. Ray Drew came over to the house. We won't talk about that.
Well, Ray Drew, how many times did he have to deal with that stuff?
Yeah.
So
Ray Drew was a badass. I'll tell you that. That's all I'll say. Came over to the house one time. We had a steak cook-off competition, and cooked us some damn good steak.
Oh, there you go. I love that.
7-0.
7-0 Auburn.
Really?
7-0 Auburn. Yeah, they scored while you were going through your our sponsorship there of the Rogue.
Bama fans.
Just let people know. And here's the thing: I was on the wrong website last time we did this. It's called The Rogue Shop, ROGUE, not the Rouge Shop, which I also put up on our site one time. So hey, we have a new sponsor, The Rouge Shop, and people are like, what? We're doing makeup now? Yeah. It's fun when you do something stupid and you get 50,000 followers tell you you're a moron. That's always great. But we have some of those things. So
B&E said those names are triggering memories. Let's bring up Ray Drew and Garrison and all the likes.
But you need to try some of this Rogue stuff, and that'll trigger some memories too. But I'm kind of while y'all are talking about that, I was looking through some of the comments from the coaches and the players and such.
What are they saying?
I didn't see anything. We got Brent Rawls put his notes and observations in there. I was looking for some of the comments from Kirby after the.
What has the old Curb said? I know he said after the game in his post-game press conference with ABC that she said, yeah, your defense was elite. He was like, no, we're not using that word today. They were good, but we had some plays that
the strength of our team is our team.
Yeah, it didn't go our way. Kirby, for the most part, though, throughout the game, whenever they had the camera on him, looked pretty chill compared to other games. He's just sitting over there like walking on the sideline, kind of playing with his headset a little bit. Just he was not worried.
No. But he was looking for something to be mad about.
Yeah, he was, and that's the thing though. Right now, and he said it in the post game conference with ABC. He said, "Look, we're still trying to ascend. I don't want these guys to think that we are there yet." So that might be a little bit of what Kirby's going through right now, is he's making sure he can still get into his players' head. Hey guys, we're not there yet. Yes, you're 12-0. but we're not there yet. And so, this is a good one. Who do you have for Heisman from Amari Carmichael?
Yeah, before we get to your Heisman thoughts, I do want to mention this real quick. Curtis Smart says it felt like a home game.
Ooh. But
twist the knife, Kirby. Twist it.
Before you got on, Blaine was at the stadium. He said 70% Georgia fans at least in the stadium. 70%.
Oh my goodness, a sack there. 70%. Did you guys see the overhead shot like 5 minutes before kickoff?
Yeah, it was all red.
Well, the other parts of the stadium were empty.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it. It's a 12 o'clock game, but I mean, are y'all going to be there before halftime? I think some people were waiting to see if at halftime they'd do the hot dogs half off or something before they show up.
I think it was.
You guys have covered enough.
Wasn't it? It was the Kansas game when Kansas was coming back against Texas.
Yes.
And they said, "Hey,
free
admission. We just need you here. Get in the stadium." They put it out like on the radio, and folks started showing up.
The stadium was packed. It's like,
you guys have been to high school games where they're like, okay, hey folks, y'all be sure to stop by the concession stand where Mary Beth and Todd Blackledge have got everything down there, and they're doing they got hot dogs and hamburgers, and right now in the third quarter they're all half off because they have shut down the grill.
I'm sprinting. That's when I go. That's when I jump in.
They cooked up all these hot dogs and hamburgers. They're like, okay, there's the game's out of hand. We don't want to be stuck with them, and we got to make bank, in the concession stand. So they knock them half off, and all of us have been there. It's like, oh well, I'll take 2 of those hamburgers now.
Yep.
And you throw away one of the buns, and you make the double.
Yeah, we'll get back to the Heisman. I want to talk about this real quick. Franklin Holly says, "How about their field? Looked rough. It looked a little defeated. Their field did not look that great, and they have turf now, right? They are a turf team in Atlanta.
It is.
Field did not look that good.
No, they went turf because you can't grow anything in that damn urban jungle.
Oh Lordy. Back to Amari's thing. Trent, we'll start with you. Who you have for Heisman?
I think they should just not have a Heisman this year because
that's probably the best. It's probably the best.
I really don't know because I mean
Kobe Dean.
The talk all year has been Bryce or Stroud, and both of them look horrendous today. I just don't think there has been a competitive, like a consistent person that stood out besides somebody like on defense, like in the Kobe Dean or somebody like that, who stood out for 12 games. That all these players have had rough goes of it. I mean, you could say Matt Corral, but I didn't think he looked very good against Mississippi State or not. So it's just
as of right now, the Heisman odds in Vegas, really they say it's a 2-man show. They've got CJ Stroud at -210. This was prior to today's games. CJ Stroud -210, Bryce Young +170. Then the next guy is Matt Corral at +2,500. So
Matt Corral was my thing. I said that a few weeks ago, and people were like, "Oh no, not Matt Corral." I'm like, again, you don't look at the fact that they just lost a game. You look at how they're going to do the rest of the way. I'm like, this guy's going to keep putting up numbers, and he got that little ankle injury. But I'm like, it's a numbers game. It's wins and gaudy stats.
Yeah, I don't honestly, I
Their
don't know.
Their first 10-win season?
In the first half, Bryce Young is 6 of 15 for 70 yards.
Ooh.
If Stetson Bennett did that, JT Daniels would have a statue built in most people's yards. So
yeah, and there are no odds. The odds, just for folks listening at home, Jordan Davis right now at +5,000. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 7th on the list of odds at +5,000. Will Anderson's behind him +6,600. So he is the top defensive guy. I really don't know who your Heisman is. Whoever it's going to be, it's not gonna be
Matt Corral.
In the first half of this Auburn-Alabama game, Alabama has 70 yards passing, -19 yards rushing, 51 yards total.
What about Auburn?
What was the game that Alabama only had like 6 yards rushing? Who was that against? Arkansas?
I mean, Auburn only has 1 yard rushing and 98 yards passing. 99 yards for Auburn, 51 yards for Bama, and it's almost halftime.
Yeah, I think you're right though, Roddy. I think Bryce Young went off against Arkansas. They did not have that many rushing yards against them.
I mean, but if you throw it at 565 yards or whatever,
Right.
don't worry about it. But I'm just saying
Right.
it's there. But again, I think there has to be momentum towards the end of the season for your Heisman winner and crazy stats. If you put up all these crazy stats and you were the guy and then you lose right at the end, they're like, oh, well, that cost him the Heisman. And these voters, I know a number of Heisman voters. I don't want to put them in with it, but there were way too many Heisman voters, and a lot of them basically vote for the last person they heard, and they watch it. So they watch SportsCenter and go, oh, well, this is the leading Heisman guy, so I'm going to put it out there. They don't sit there and break down film and do that. They just go with what they think they should. So, but I'm thinking for a guy that's had has positive numbers and momentum, Matt Corral leads Ole Miss to their first 10-win season ever.
And look good doing it. Look good doing it.
Plus, he's with Kiffin, and there's that Lane Kiffin cult of personality, and they like, oh, that's his guy. So it wouldn't shock me.
Right here, Eric Carvelli says, "Hey everyone, just so you know, Auburn has 5 sacks on Bryce Young in the first half. You think Georgia could do that? They've got a little bit better players up front.
Imagine if they had Adam Anderson.
Oh,
he'd feast."
Yeah.
But he is no longer with the team and won't play for Georgia again. So now you go, hey, Nakobe Dean, he keeps blitzing through that A gap, and a couple times today they sent both inside linebackers.
Oh yes, beautiful
on a little stunt, a little twist there. That was fun to watch. We've seen them bring the corner blitzes a lot. Again, is why you have to have Chris Smith healthy, because if you're going to send the corner, that safety has to get over there and help cover. And not to say that Dan can't. Dan's done that as well, but maybe you feel a little more comfortable doing that with a Chris Smith in there. I like the idea of Channing Tindall. You've seen how fast he was. The fact that he had 3 sacks in the game. Was it 3 or 4?
3.
3. He had 3 sacks. A few weeks ago. That's a guy you move him around. In other words, they found ways without Adam Anderson to bring pressure to the QB. You saw all the tackles for loss they had today.
Robert Beal came up with a sack today.
Robert Beal came up with a problem for Alabama. The only sack I saw came from the left tackle. So
I think Georgia's going to be able to get sacks just for some point that every single one of these guys are going to be it's just one-on-one, because you got to account for their 3 defense linemen on every play, because it starts with them. That's the reason why those linebackers are running free majority of the time. So I think they're still going to get the pressure. That I think Adam Anderson could generate pressure without having to send your inside linebackers. But maybe Nolan's back 100% next week.
Yeah, you need Nolan back for sure. Franklin Holly says, heading out. You guys have a great weekend. Go Dogs. We appreciate you, Franklin. Appreciate you watching with us. Guys, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up and kind of look forward to next week. We've got just a little bit of time left here. 45-0 against Georgia Tech. 12-0 overall. You beat every one of your rivals. You crushed every one of your rivals. You crushed teams this year to where you broke them down, and they turned into a complete opposite team after Georgia played them. You're 12-0. Take this week.
Was Clemson the only close game?
Yes.
Yeah.
They only trailed 3 times this whole, and 2 of them were to Tennessee.
That's what I'm saying. And we look at this, and it's kind of like how you said, Roddy, with the Alabama fans. It's gotten to the point now where it's like, all right, what's Georgia going to win by this week? It's gotten to that point. Just take it all in. Take in this 12-0 season and really, like Roddy's been saying every week, he has his username like that for a reason. You haven't seen this. If you're under 40, you've never seen this from a Georgia team. There's always been a slip-up game, or there's always been 2 slip-up games, or 3 or 4 or 5. We could go on and on, but you're 12-0. Alabama doesn't look that great right now against Auburn. Who knows, when you listen to us on the podcast and you're not watching us live, we might look like jackasses. Auburn might come back, or Alabama might come back and win 31-7. But as of right now, Alabama doesn't look great.
Florida found out the hard way that they can score some points there.
Yeah.
No, who is it they put on a bunch of points at the very end? For LSU?
No, that was
It was tight. Then at the end, they just poured points
against
on
Bama. Yeah, I know who you're.
I don't know who it was, but I guess so.
I don't either, but I know what you're talking about.
But hey, Georgia's a better team than Auburn, and Auburn's playing them tight right now. Granted that's at Auburn, but hey, you're going to be in Atlanta, so a little no-fly zone there. So I like Georgia's chances. And again, the great thing is, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't freaking matter next week. You can lose it. So what? You're going to be in the playoffs. And hopefully you'll be in there against a Cincinnati or a Notre Dame or somebody like that. You blow their doors off and play for another title.
I think it's, that for so many years you've been sitting here with the ball on the other foot, and you go into the SEC championship and you're like, well, Bama's in. Georgia's got to win. This is a must win.
Georgia has to win. This team has to lose. That team has to lose. This team has to lose to this team in 2 weeks. I mean, how many of us have?
But you got to win by at least 2 touchdowns to be impressive.
Well, not only that. I mean, you have to work out the. It was Tennessee. That was it.
Yeah, Tennessee. Thanks, Katie.
How many times for Georgia to make it to win the East? Okay, they lost to Florida, or they lost to Missouri, or they lost to this team. So
now you need South Carolina to beat Arkansas to beat this team, so you can do this and that.
You basically needed the Clemson treatment
Florida,
this weekend.
Which never happens, but that's the only way you're going to make it back.
Right.
We've done that calculus for years and years and years. Now you're like, screw that. Let's just beat that crap out of everybody. And I put on the note on their 3-2-1 column. In the previous years before Kirby got here, Georgia had only beaten Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, and Tech 4 times in the same calendar year. Kirby's done it 4 times since he's gotten here in 6 years.
Wow.
You hadn't played for a title until Kirby's, from 1980, 83. This is 1980s. Kirby played it for his second year. He's going to have you in the playoffs again now, so you're about to sign the number 1 recruiting class by a large margin. But again, I know we're all caught up in the whole, playoffs and stuff, but before you start worrying about Alabama, I hope everybody has a nice adult beverage tonight, and maybe smoke a cigar, grab a little one, and say 12-0.
I think that just said Bama hadn't been shut out in the first half since 2000, and they just did.
21 years.
Yeah. Trent, final thoughts here, man. Georgia's 12-0 entering into against Alabama.
Yeah, I think. It's got to feel good knowing you're going into the next week. You're going to be number 1 in the college football playoffs rankings. You know that you're going to be in the top 4 the next week. You're sitting here. You have a New Year's Eve date with somebody. And for a chance to go to the national championship, you're sitting here knowing that, and I think that's a good place to be in. And you don't want to get comfortable. I know Kirby's not going to let that team get complacent. You want to make sure all these kids get their grades in.
Yeah,
don't need any ineligible guys. Don't need any what we're hearing posts from Roddy. But yeah, I mean, it's Georgia's in the best place you can possibly be in at this stage, and now you just sit back and watch other teams beat up on each other and take care of business moving forward. 3 more games, 3 more wins.
Congratulations, Georgia fans. You just beat your in-state rival 45-0 with a shutout, and you're moving on to bigger and better things against an Alabama team that looks beatable. I don't know what they've got going on for the rest of the game, but I do know Georgia will be ready.
Second half.
Yeah, much better in the second half. But guys, we appreciate you so much for watching. If you could, before you leave, hit that like button on the video. And then if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the UGAsports.com YouTube channel. And right now, guys, we are running a special offer, $20.21 for Black Friday at the UGAsports.com. Hit up myself, Rowdy, or Trent on Twitter. We can get you that link over. And we've also tweeted it out a good bit as well. If you need it, we can let you know how to get it. Roddy, any last words before we get out of here?
Yeah, the promo code is Rivals2021.
Rivals 2021.
You get the full year for new subscribers for $20.21. And you're probably going to be able to say, hey, that was the same year that Georgia won the national title, 2021. So
we've been saying that a long time. We've been saying that a long time.
Well, again, hey, I just my last comment is, even if that doesn't happen, which I expect it to You know, I mean, this is a hell of a team. They have a better chance than just about anybody, but winning that many number of games is tough. But just I hope everybody tonight has a little a toast for the boys that went with all those injuries. Top 5 wide receivers out, top right guard out, center out, top quarterback out,
Top tight end out 6 games. Then you got a new tight end.
Yeah, I'm about to say you lost not your number 1 tight end, but your number 2 tight end. He was out for part of the season. Transfer out. You lost your best pass rusher out, and you still went 12-0. No reason to have done that well. You gave up less than 7 points a game over 12 freaking games.
On top of losing all the transfers last year. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you look
and
at
the guys to the draft.
Jermaine Johnson is balling out at Florida State.
Otis Reese playing for Ole Miss. Major
Tariq
Burns
Stevenson,
playing for
Miami.
LSU. Tariq Stevenson playing for Miami. God damn. I mean, it's just they're all playing elsewhere. You know. The point being, that's how dominant you've been on the recruiting trail. And recruiting, it's going to keep going. So y'all stay tuned, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you guys. Thanks again for watching the POS show presented by UGAsports.com.